Hello, this is wmpyr. For today's video, I want to have a discussion video basically. This is kind of very difficult for me because um, I'm going to be all over the place. All right, it's kind of a difficult subject to talk about, but I think it's a very important message here somewhere in this video. So hopefully you can find it beneficial. I apologize in advance because it's all just mumbled up. All right. Um, First of all, when I first started training in the martial arts, I trained for the wrong reasons. Back in the early 90s, I started in martial arts, signed up at this school, and I remember the instructor had us fill out this little form, and it had a couple of questions on there. And one of the questions was, "Why are you taking this class?" And I had the arrogance to say to be the best, you know. And later on, as I became the instructor, um, I found students that came to me and they said, I want to become the next Ultimate Fighting champion. I've had that quite a bit actually. You'd be surprised how many people say that to me, or they say, I want to enter the Ultimate Fighting, championship. I want to enter the UFC. And you know, what I put down by saying I want to be the best, it's really no different. It's really, at the time, the UFC didn't exist, but it's, basically saying the same thing. And for those of you that that is your goal, um, let me just tell you, you have a long, hard road ahead of you. First of all, 99.999% don't make it. I'm not saying that you can't, but it's difficult, very, very, very difficult road. People are tough, and if you do make it, even then, that's not the end of the road. That doesn't solve all your problems. In fact, in martial arts, a lot of people train in martial arts for many reasons, but for me, the primary reason is I view martial arts training as a path. So for me, I do martial arts do. All right. I like to think of it as a spiritual path, but it's not like religious or anything like that. All right. It's not that strict or severe. Okay. All I'm saying is that if you follow the path of martial arts, the do, okay, uh, then it should be about you becoming a nicer human being. Okay, not a doormat, but a truly nice, kind, understanding, but strong, reliable, good character, good personality, those kinds of things. That's what it should be about. To examine yourself, see your weaknesses, correct them, face them head on, and go, yes, I'm being a jerk here, or I have this bad habit. I need to change it. I need discipline. Those are all, to me, that is what um, the true martial arts path is about, and the fighting skills and stuff like that, that is all secondary, all secondary. And the interesting thing to me is that now you could be a total jerk, a total moron, and be very, very successful at fighting. But if you really want to become the best of your potential, then you have to become what I'm saying, which is a truly nice, kind person. And like I said, that's not the same as being a doormat. So if you truly become a nice person, your warrior skills will go up. I think that's the interesting part about it. That's the ironic thing about it. A lot of people feel like you got to be mean as possible, but no. Back in my day, I was a lot meaner, and I feel like I am a lot better of a fighter now. you know, um, but yeah, definitely back then, I was more in fighting shape. But that's not what it's all about. If it was just one-time fighting, I feel like I can do way better now than I did in my crazy youthful days. Uh, so anyway, I trained martial arts for the wrong reasons at first, but if you have this kind of path, it's a path. It's not just one thing. It's not just one goal that you go for. It's a continuous movement that you keep going and going. And as you do, it should be a self-correcting path. It should be a nurturing path, and it should be full of forgiveness and you learning experiences, learn from your mistakes. The key to that is to just make your mistakes as small as possible. You don't want anything that's going to cripple you. And the same advice goes with life. You don't want to end up in jail. You don't want to murder somebody, or you don't want to put yourself in a position where you can get murdered or crippled or anything like that to hinder you so bad. So you want to minimize your mistakes as much as possible. As long as you do that, keep learning from your mistakes and follow the path. And like I said, it's a self-correcting path, because nobody starts off good. And that's the important part. A lot of people, want to start off good and stuff, but it's really about nurturing. Okay. And one of the important things about this is that I put my instructor on a pedestal back when I first started. And it's easy to do that because, I wanted to become the best. That's me wanting something. And I looked at my instructor and I saw him as very competent, so he had at least some of the stuff, if not a lot of the stuff of what I wanted. So it's very easy to put your instructor on a pedestal, because in a way they're representing the goal, what you want to become. If you didn't think highly of them, then that means kind of like basically in this way of thinking that you don't think highly of your goal. Then you wouldn't be doing it in the first place. So this is very natural for this to happen, but you have to be careful of this. And this is actually, in my opinion, the wrong way of martial arts approach, because martial arts, once again, to become a better human being, it's not a self-centered, selfish person is not a good human being. And that's essentially what you're doing. You're going, I want this, whether it's knife skills, stick skills, or you want to become more flexible, or you want to become a better fighter, or you want to be effective in a street fight, or you want people to fear you, or you want to have a reputation, or any of those things. They're all selfish. So thinking highly of your instructor, you want to be respectful, but not put him on a pedestal, him or her. You don't want to idolize them. You don't want to worship them. All right. So when the people talk about, Steven Seagal, man, this guy's so bad, or Bruce Lee could kick anyone's butt, this is all idolizing them. You know what I mean? And it's fun to talk about stuff like that, but really you got to move away from that way of thinking. That is the wrong way. And another thing is, when people say like, oh yeah, man, Steven Seagal is just, he's bad. He's on the street, man. And he's good with a gun and he just kills dudes. All right. Person who says stuff like that, also, they want that to be said about them. You understand that? Because they hold that valuable, that someone is one mean mofo on the street. Well, they want that reputation too. So by saying, hey, yeah, I'm a big fan of Steven Seagal, I like his style, I like it, it's not normal Aikido or whatever. By saying that, you're kind of like, it's like you're leeching off of that person. You know what I mean? So the people that do that, also they expect they expect other people to worship them in a way. So because they're worshiping, someone like Steven Seagal, because Steven Seagal has a high skill. I'm sorry, I'm not ragging on Steven Seagal. It's just an example I'm using here. But so someone's worshiping Steven Seagal, and they see themselves as, hey, I know some of that stuff, or because I watch his movies and stuff, I'm kind of a little bit in his, I'm a follower or something like that, But there are other people that are not quite at my level, so they're beneath me, so they need to feel the same way about me, the way I feel about Steven Seagal. You know what I mean? It turns into a hierarchy, and this is how cults form. You know what I mean? So when you first start training in martial arts, and there's gonna be people that dazzle you, people that amaze you and stuff. That's great. Be respectful. And that's all good, but don't put so much emphasis on that, all right? The most important thing, like I said, is about you on your path. So one of the things that you need to be careful is when you go to a school and the students there just worship the instructor. They're like, oh man, isn't he great? Or isn't she just untouchable when she uses the Joe staff? Just try to get away from that. It's one thing to admire them, but to put them on a pedestal is a very bad thing. And another thing, another red flag that should alert you to this is not a good place to train at, or this is the wrong mentality, is also the instructor who takes it. All right. So if you put me on a pedestal, all right, if I'm in my right mind, I'm going to say to you, don't do that. Don't look at me that way. I'm just a human being. All right. I practice 20 years more than you. Of course, I'm going to be better than you. You practice 20 years, you'll probably be good as me or better. Who knows, And it doesn't matter who's better. You know what I mean? I'm on my path, you're on your path. All right? So don't put me on a pedestal. It's just skill. Anyone can develop it. Any idiot, any ape can develop this. You know what I mean? Just give them 20 years, but the instructor that goes, yeah, I'm really good. I've won this tournament. I'm world class, whatever. That's a scary guy. He's saying, yes, I want to be your idol. I want to be, your cult leader. I want you to follow me. You know what I mean? So stay away from people like that because unfortunately they do exist. I mean, I've seen so many guys, and I was one of them too, that they joined martial arts because they're all interested, fascinated. You've been watching the movies and you go, yeah, I want to learn that stuff. I want to be able to do that stuff. That's great. That's awesome. Just don't place so much importance to that. Understand that it is about growth. It is a discipline. All right. It's not about, yeah, I'm going to have a certain set of Krav Maga skills that I could put in my pocket. I'm going to have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills put here. I'm going to have awesome Muay Thai leg kicks and put them here. It's not a product. All right. It's about you developing yourself. Okay. You developing yourself. So you want to develop yourself in the right way to where you're not going to become a huge ego and a huge jerk and a chip on your shoulder where someone says to you, you're not that good of a Thai fighter. And you go, what? You want to find out? You don't want to be that way. If someone says, you're not that good of a Thai fighter. Yeah, I'm not. There's lots of good guys out there. I'm just lucky to be able to practice in this style. You're not that good with the sticks. All right. Yeah. I honestly never thought of myself as when I started off with stick fighting, Eskrima, Arnis and stuff, as that was going to be my specialty. In some ways it's still not, so yeah, there's guys who have done it from day one as their specialty, and they've done it for as long as I have or way longer. Yeah, I'm sure there's guys wipe the floor with me. I've always switched and dabbled in other styles, and what is it called? Jack of all trades, master of none. Well, that you can say that sounds cool, but jack of all trades means that your quality's low, So there's a plus and minus to that, So you just have to be very, very careful with that kind of thing because cults and brainwashing and stuff like that's out there. And it's not just those weird charismatic people that to blame. There are the people, the followers, or if you were one time, fell into that trap is because you were vulnerable to that, because you wanted that. You had the desire to say, I want that. Those kinds of desires can never, ever be that strong. You gotta keep a lid on your desires. It's good to have goals, but not to the point where they're desires, where they're so selfish, so self-centered. I need this, This is what makes me special. Man, that's the wrong way of thinking. You know what I mean? So anyway, I don't want to be preachy or too much like I'm giving a lecture, but I just wanted to give this message out, and hopefully you guys can understand, and that it can help you out in some way, and especially those of you that are just getting into martial arts and stuff. If something like this happens to you, don't blame martial arts, okay? And if you're also spending a ton of money, that's a red flag right there. It's to train, you could train at home. You could, honestly, once a week, go to class. But as long as you do your homework, most people can't do their homework. They can't train at home. That's why they kind of spoil themselves by going to class. Okay, you don't want to be that way. For the instructor, they're thinking, yeah, that's great for me. I get more money. I get more business. Come to class more often, But, honestly, You know, you want to be able to, uh, if you go to class, bring it home, practice at home as well. You know, you don't need to be at school, 7 days a week. I think that's overload. So anyway, once again, thank you for listening and take care.